The thing about monitoring dead frequencies is that they are rarely dead. I say this not as philosophy but as a statement of operational fact. I was 7 months into my rotation at Deep Grid Monitoring Station Keth 11, a two-person post, except my relief had transferred to a station closer to the corridor 3 weeks prior, and the replacement had not arrived, so for the time being it was a one-person post, when a calibration ping came in on band Orva 3. Band Orva 3 had not carried authorized traffic in my lifetime. It was listed in our monitoring charter under Section 12, passive watch, active reply required, which meant exactly what it said. We listened, and if something came in, we answered. The charter did not say why we answered. It said when, how, in what format, and how quickly. The why was someone else's department, and that someone else had probably retired decades before I was born. I pulled the allocation record. Band Orva 3, originally designated Compact Survey Calibration Joint Use, assigned under the Kethavar Terran Joint Cartographic Survey Accord, Article 3, Annex 11, Calibration and Verification Procedures. The Compact retired the band from active service 73 years ago during the Great Realignment, when they switched their entire deep survey infrastructure from the old Kethavar Polar Reference Convention to the updated sidereal standard. Earth's monitoring charter had not been amended. The band was still on our watch list. The standing order was one word long: reply. So I looked at what had come in. It was clean. A standard compact format calibration verification request, the kind a vessel sends to confirm its star catalog alignment against the nearest active reference node before running precision survey work. The request included the vessel's local reference frame, its last good catalog timestamp, and 6 calibration target coordinates, all encoded in the old Kethavar Polar Convention that nobody had used in 7 decades. The source was a single vessel, no fleet identifier, no military tag, no convoy registration, a research class hull signature and a survey license number that cross-referenced, when I ran it through the old Joint Accord database, to a deep field cartographic survey permit issued under Kethavar civilian science protocols. Single occupancy classification. One vessel, one person, deep field, no emergency flag, no distress header, just a quiet verification request from someone whose instruments needed a reference point. I understood the impulse. My own station had not had a visitor in 3 weeks, unless you counted the supply drone and the automated shift log nobody else was reading. I pulled up the current Joint Survey Star Catalog, the one we maintained under Section 12, and reformatted it from sidereal standard into the old Kethavar Polar Convention. 73 years of accumulated astrometric corrections, stellar drift adjustments, binary period updates, and new object additions. The file was not small. I trimmed it to the researcher's apparent survey sector, appended the 6 corrected calibration targets she had requested verification on, and transmitted the complete package back on the same band. Then I made coffee. The acknowledgement came back 41 minutes later. That was the relay latency. Her position was deep enough that the signal routed through 2 intermediate nodes before it reached my station. The actual reply beneath the standard receipt header was 4 words in formal Kethavar survey notation. Clarification requested, identity unknown. She did not know who I was. I transmitted back, Earth Deep Grid Monitoring Station Keth 11, Joint Cartographic Survey Accord, Section 12, Passive Watch, Active Reply. Duty Operator Specialist Cade. Your calibration request was received on band Orva 3 and answered per standing procedure. The relay delay gave me time to finish the coffee. I was rinsing the cup when her second reply arrived. It was longer. Her name was Oreth Van Suler. She was a civilian cartographic surveyor, 3 years and 4 months into a 5-year solo deep field survey, operating under a standard Kethavar research permit aboard a single-occupancy research vessel she identified as the Quiet Meridian. Her primary star catalog had suffered a cascade failure 9 days earlier, a firmware corruption she had been unable to repair with her onboard maintenance tools. She had resorted to manual calibration from a physical reference handbook she carried as a backup. The Kethavar Joint Cartographic Survey Field Reference, 78th edition, published under the old Polar Convention. She had entered her 6 calibration targets from the handbook. 2 of the reference digits, she explained, had been transposed, not because she misread them, but because the handbook's coordinate entry tables used a column order that the updated sidereal standard had reversed 73 years ago. She had entered them the way the handbook showed them. The handbook was correct for its era. The era was 73 years gone. The transposition placed her calibration verification ping on a frequency allocation that, in the old Polar Convention, corresponded to band Orva 3. Band Orva 3 had been a compacted ministered joint calibration channel. The compact retired it. Earth did not. I did not transmit to Earth, she wrote. I calibrated my navigation array from a backup handbook. The verification ping was directed at the nearest active reference node on the designated band. I did not know there was an active node. I did not know the node was yours. It had left her ship because the old convention's calibration verification protocol included an external confirmation step. The ping went outward to the nearest active node on the designated band, requesting a catalog comparison against a known reference. There was no active compact node on band Orva 3. There had not been one in 73 years. The only active node was mine. I explained this to her. The third reply took longer than the relay delay accounted for. I assumed she was sitting with the arithmetic. You are telling me, she wrote, that my handbook directed a verification ping to a band your species has monitored for 73 years, a band mine retired before I was born, and your standing instruction upon receiving a calibration request on that band was to answer it. That was accurate, I confirmed. And your answer was a corrected star catalog. Also accurate. 73 years of corrections. Yes. There was a long pause, longer than relay latency. When it came, the reply had shifted from formal survey notation to plain format text, the kind you use when you stop writing for the record and start writing for the person on the other end of the channel. I have been alone out here for 3 years. 9 days ago my catalog failed, and I believed I would have to dead reckon for 14 months until my next scheduled contact with my coordination office. No one in Kethavar civilian infrastructure is within relay range. I have been outside relay range for 9 months. I calibrated from the handbook because it was the only reference I had. I entered the coordinates exactly as the tables showed them. I did not know the ping would leave my ship. I did not know there was anyone listening on that band. I did not know there was anyone listening at all. I set the cup down. There was nothing in Section 12 about what to say to a person who had been navigating alone in the dark for 9 days because her catalog crashed, and the only backup she carried was 73 years out of date. The charter covered format, latency, and filing procedure. It did not cover the part where 2 people who had not expected to find each other were sitting alone on opposite ends of a relay chain in the middle of the night. But there was a standing order about what to do if the calibration data resolved the fault. I asked, did the catalog resolve your array? The catalog resolved the fault, she replied. The corrections are clean. My array is realigned to current reference. I have a fix for the first time in 9 days. I noted that in the log. Then I typed, if the firmware fault recurs, the band is still monitored. You can calibrate again. From a handbook that sends my ping to Earth, she said. Yes. And Earth will reply. The charter requires it. There was another pause. Then, I did not call you Specialist Cade. No, I said, you calibrated your array. And your charter has monitored that band for 73 years in case someone calibrated their array. The charter does not specify the reason. It specifies the reply. She signed off with a formal Kethavar survey closing notation, the kind that acknowledges a legitimate contact and closes the channel cleanly. Beneath the formal line in the plain format text, she had added one sentence: "The handbook will remain in the navigation bay." I filed my incident report. One entry: Band Orva 3, Section 12, Passive Watch, Active Reply. Calibration verification request received from Solo Civilian Survey Vessel, Kethavar Permit, Single Occupant. Corrected star catalog transmitted per standing procedure. No vessel dispatched. No escalation required. In the notes field, where nobody looks, I wrote, "Researcher had been dead reckoning for 9 days with no prospect of contact for 14 months. The handbook that reached us was 73 years out of date. Recommend the charter not be amended." Nobody reads the notes field, but someone is out there navigating by a handbook that talks to a band we never took off the list. And the only reason she is not still dead reckoning in the dark is that 73 years ago somebody forgot to file the withdrawal. I made another cup of coffee and went back to monitoring.